Hi, it's Rick Rose from Keller Williams. Today I'd like to talk about a little explanation of real estate and the cycles. Everything goes through cycles. The stock market goes up and down. The real estate market goes up and down. But the difference is that the real estate market goes up and down on an upward incline. And that's why homes are more expensive now than they were 20 years ago. Because even though it goes up and down, overall it still goes up. And that's why real estate is a great long term investment. So, you've heard of the circle of life. Well, there's a circle of real estate too. It starts here and kind of goes around in a big circle. So, I guess the good question is the lifetime cycle of a home buyer, and that refers to the evolving stages of a person that typically goes through in their life when it comes to home ownership. These stages often align with life events, financial changes, and family needs. Typically, people don't sell their home once they own a home until something in their life changes. Whether it's a new child and we've only got a one bedroom home, whether it's a job transfer out of the city, something in their life changes and they make the decision to sell their home and move. So, where does this all start? It's the lifetime home buyer cycle. And really, it starts with first time buyers. They go from either getting married or getting together, buying a home, or being in an apartment and deciding that apartments and renting aren't the way to go. So they decide to buy a house. Typically, it's a starter home, 2 bedroom, smaller, something that's affordable. Um, it's generally driven by independence and leaving the rental market, the rental living. Um, the focus of generally a first time buyer's attention is affordability and the location of the home. Everybody's heard, what is real estate? Location, location, location. And actually, that's true. The better location, typically, the more expensive a home is. Um, for a first time buyer, they might use incentives. For first time buyers, there is an incentive for the land transfer fee. Typically, you have to pay it, but you immediately get it back. So technically, you don't have to pay it. Or a low down payment program. And for a long, long time, and even right now, you can buy a house. There's lots of misconceptions out there, but you can buy a house, first time buyer, second time buyer, whoever, with 5% down. That's called a high ratio mortgage. If you have 20% down, then you're not into a high ratio mortgage, um, and you don't have to pay all the additional funds, CMHC, insurance, and stuff like that if you're putting 20% down. But you can get into home ownership with only 5% down. Only 5% down. I mean, even on a $400,000 property, that's still, 20 grand, and then you've got closing costs. So even a $400,000 property, you're going to need probably about $25,000 cash that can be borrowed from parents or a close relative if they are willing to give you the money and attest to that by signing a form that says we are freely giving this money as a down payment to my child, whatever, my uncle, whatever. Um, and it's not a loan, it is a gift. And that letter that you have to sign, or the uncle or parents have to sign, is actually called a gift letter. So that gets a first time buyer into home ownership. And remember, I said this is a cycle. So something in their lives changed. They buy a nice little, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, something like that, or a 1 bedroom condo, and it suits them. And then, 3 years later, or however long, all of a sudden they find themselves with child or going to have a child. And they look around and go, you know what, this really isn't suitable for for our purposes now. So we should probably get something, a little bit better, so we can set up a nursery and the child has a nice backyard and so on and so on. So the first cycle is generally people between 20 and 30 years old. Once they are finished with their one bedroom or their condo or something, they're generally around 30 to 40 years old. And this is when they start to move up. So whether it's career promotions, career progressions, um, maybe they want a better neighborhood, a little bit more space. Instead of one or two bedrooms, now they want three or four bedrooms. Like I said, nice backyard for the kids to play in. Uh, and the first thing they do is start asking themselves questions. Well, where do we start? What do we do? Well, we really should call a real estate agent. How much is this place worth right now anyway? Like, we bought it 3, 4, 5 years ago. I wonder what it's worth now, because we're going to have to take the equity out of here to buy our next home. You phone a realtor. They will do what's called a CMA, which is basically a mini appraisal, letting both the realtor and the kids, the 30 to 40-year-olds, the value of the home and the equity they have and what position they're actually in order to move. So what we want is to sell your home first in order to fund the next home. Now, as long as the market has cooperated, you bought something for $400,000, and 3, 5 years later, it's now worth 475. Well, you have equity in that property, the 5% down on the 400, which is 20 grand. But now add on that difference of say another 80 grand. So you've probably got about $100,000 equity, which is a nice position to be in. That will allow your down payment and some immediate equity going into your new home. They move into there, and now they're there for 5 years, maybe 10 years, something like that, and they're looking around. That one kid is now turned into three, so they're now looking at circumstances have changed again. So, gee, honey, maybe we should upgrade. Maybe we should go for our dream home. Kids are getting a little bit older now, and instead of the three-bedroom raised ranch in a nice area, now they're looking at the two-story, four-bedroom with a pool in the backyard, because the kids are maybe starting to hit 10, 12 years old, or early teenage years. They've got their friends coming over. They want to, where they used to play in a backyard, now they want to swim in that backyard, which is absolutely wonderful. Um, Once they get there, they tend to stay until they figure, well, we deserve it. They're in their prime income earning years. They, at this point, want to buy, their luxury home, their dream home, their forever home. And that typically then is the two-story, four-bedroom with the pool in the backyard, nice basement, pool table, great kitchen for the wife, maybe double car garage for the husband, all that stuff. It's their dream home. So they then, probably in their 40s or 50s, move into that dream home. They sell their three-bedroom ranch and move into their dream home. As I said, they're looking for things like possibly a pool, custom kitchen, larger lot. They probably are at the point where they want to start entertaining friends, business associates, that type of thing in their backyard. And this really is their long-term plan. This is their forever home. This is where they want to stay. But it requires a further higher investment. You not only take the equity out of their home that they're currently in and put it into their forever home, but they might have to also add, a little bit of cash into that to get exactly what they're looking for. There's no more fooling around. This is the place they're going to carry me out of here in a coffin. This is a place we're staying forever. The kids are going to be leaving at some point, but this is our forever home. We're staying here forever. And so in that case, let's get what we want. Right? honey, write a list. Let let's get the home that we really want, and we're going to stay in. We're going to be happy with, for the rest of our lives. It's all wonderful. So as life goes, the kids leave home, and now these two people are actually really enjoying themselves in their forever home. Kids are gone, and they are now in a two-story, four-bedroom with a pool in the backyard. Well, although they occasionally enjoy the pool, that was mainly for the kids. And what happens, even though this is their forever home, once they start to get a little older, um, possibly even at this point retired, but their knees start to give out, or they run into health problems, or the stairs going up to the bedroom is just becoming an effort and honestly not really doable anymore. So in this cycle, what happens? Well, we did say that we're going to stay here forever, and this is our forever home. But again, something in life changes, and that's the reason people typically do move or change houses or buy a home in the first place, whatever. Now they're saying, even though this is our forever home, health obviously has changed our circumstances, so we really need to downsize or right size our home. Well, what are we going to get? Well, we want a home just as nice, but without the stairs. So over time, and maybe even by this time, their home is paid off. So when the realtor's called in and he does that CMA and the market evaluation, the mini appraisal, what he's going to find is the home is probably worth a substantial amount, and there's no mortgage on it, which means they have 100% equity on it. They're in a really good position. They can pretty much buy, whatever they want. Not millionaires row maybe, but they're in a very good position. So what are they going to be looking for? They're going to be looking for area, great neighbors, great neighborhood. Schools don't matter anymore. They're going to be looking for a really nice house. Don't really need the pool in the backyard. It was nice, but you've got that expense and the maintenance of it, so we don't really need the pool in the backyard. But we really need a nice house. We want a fair amount of square footage, but no stairs. Nice neighborhood, close to everything. Doctors, hospitals. That's the mentality. So in right sizing, what are they going to do? They're going to go back to the three-bedroom ranch that is beautifully done, maybe just recently renovated, but no stairs. And they're going to start looking around for something like that. So they call the realtor in, get an idea of how much their home is worth, which means the equity. So let's say it's worth $700,000. They might at this point be looking at, a $550,000 home. Nice area, all that stuff. The beauty of that is that they've had the houses, they've been in the real estate market for a long time, built up the equity in the houses. So now they can buy probably what's going to be their forever home, and stick some cash into the bank account. They've been putting out for so long, it's about time something went back in. So they enjoy their home. And now they're probably pushing, as time goes on, they're pushing maybe 70 years old, maybe a little bit more. And actually, unfortunately, possibly husband or wife passes away, circumstance change. The one person is roaming around this gorgeous home all by themselves. And the kids at this point are saying, Mom, Dad, how you doing? Is the home still manageable for you? Because you've got this great home. And again, they have more equity in the house now because time has gone on. Mom, Dad, maybe you might want to consider going into a gorgeous home, which is basically like an apartment. But it is a little more expensive per month, but they provide everything. They have exercising programs. They have other people in the same circumstances that you can talk to. And one of the things about roaming around in that beautiful home by yourself is loneliness. And that is a huge thing in an elder's position, loneliness. It's actually a killer. Mom, dad, or mom and dad, or either one. Maybe it's about time you thought of being taken care of. They make your meals, the people there are lovely, so they decide to sell the home and move into a senior's residence. And some of them are like really, really nice. And they have nurses on staff, doctors on call, the chef makes wonderful food for dinner, and so on and so on. They decide to sell the home. They get rid of that, put the money into either an investment or bank account that produces monthly income. So the equity from the home actually pays for, maybe not all, but it pays for most of the rent that they're going to spend on their seniors residence. That brings us right back to the kind of full circle of from the time a first time buyer actually considers thoughtfully about getting out of the rental situation and into a real estate, into a home of their own, through the whole cycle, right up to we don't own a home anymore, we don't really need it, and what we have now is just wonderful. We're being taken care of. And I know people, either friends, parents, or that who have done that, and they've been in the seniors' home for 20 years, and honestly, loving every minute of it. It can be wonderful. Advice to the seniors: don't do that unless it's your decision and you really can't take care of either yourself or the home anymore. At that point, then it makes a good decision. What I'm saying is, talking to a senior and being very honest, you should probably stay in your own home as long as you are capable of doing that. And by the way, there's no cheaper place, like don't sell your home and go rent an apartment. There's no cheaper place to stay than in your own home. If you pay your utilities, your taxes, and everything, you're probably talking, a few $100s per month. And that's far less expensive than renting a property. Uh, so if you have any questions about the circle of life, no, the circle of real estate, um, please reach out. I'll have my assistant put the contact information in here somewhere. If you have any questions and you need advice, at this point in time, I've kind of been through most of it. At one point, I was a first-time buyer. I bought my first home, which needed work. Um, about 6 months before I got married, and it needed a little bit, no, a lot of work. So after work every day, I would go over and fix up this home, preparing for wedding day, and that's how I became a first-time buyer. You do what you got to do. Not everything is affordable right off the bat. Um, right up to helping my mom, because my dad had passed away, helping my mom make the decision. And my kids were after me. Boy, were they after me. Hey, you got to talk to mom. You got to put her in a home. You got to do this. You got to do that. And I made a promise to her years and years before that I would never make the decision, if it came to that, to put her in a home she did not want to go in. She just heard so many bad rumors, and things have changed a lot, much better now. But we sat down and made the decision to move her out of her home because she was no longer capable really of taking care of herself or taking care of the house. And I didn't invite her, I not demanded either, but I said, Mom, you're moving in with me, I will take care of you. And she stayed in my house right until she went to the hospital and passed away. But that was the right thing to do, and I really enjoyed having my mom around. I'm getting personal now, but enjoyed having my mom around for that bit of time when we still had that available to the both of us. Anyway, if you have any questions about the circle of real estate or at your specific position now, if you're thinking about, if you're in stage 3, kind of in the upgrade, and you want to discuss possibly what should we do in the future, um, anything at all, please feel free to give me a call. My information will be here. And I thank you so much for watching this. I hope that answers a lot of questions about the start and where we go on to in your real estate journey. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk soon.